are going to make a Drunken pumpkin sorbet. This is a new flavor. I'm just kind of came up with it and wrote down what I think I'm going to use. So as I go along, you might want to adjust it just to see. I put a can of pumpkin, but I don't know how much we're really going to put in there. We're going to taste as we go. When you develop formulas or recipes, you as the ice cream maker will keep a notepad next to you and write down what you put into the machine. So that way when you go to make your flavor again, you know it's consistent and it's the same one every single time. But when you're creating one, once you make your third or fourth batch of ice cream or sorbet, Italian ices, you'll know and figure out, okay, well, let's add a little of this, a little of that. Remember, you can always add more, but you can't take out. So start with the less amount and then kind of increase it as it goes. There are certain flavors that need help when you work with flavorings and syrups and stuff like that, like pumpkin. Pumpkin is very good, but it's not super strong by itself. So if I was to put water and then pumpkin puree in there, it's not going to taste very good. It's probably going to suck, right? So that's when flavors or companies like Tyranny's come in handy. As you see, there's a whole array of different kinds and they have hundreds of flavors. You think about it, the flavor, they probably have it. There's syrups versus flavorings. So if you know your flavor's spot on, like in example, banana, we're going to be making a banana chip later. I know bananas are strong and they need a little help, a boost, so I'm going to use an extract for that. This is not very strong by itself, so we know we need a lot of it, and you don't want to overpower something with, like an extract. So you want to use a syrup, and it also gives the machine something to freeze, and it gives it a more bold and like holsters on for a flavor versus just sugar water and then a little bloop of, some flavoring. I did not open this. Okay, we'll get this open. And I'm calling it a Drunken pumpkin because we're putting in rum. And as everyone, this is pumpkin spice. Okay. So I'm going to use the syrup and then some puree. I'm going to put in some honey for a sweetener. This is what you don't want to chintz on. Guys, don't buy that fake honey. Get the real stuff, the good stuff. It is noticeable. We have made honey vanilla ice cream with the most cheapest honey, and it is noticeable. There is a honey vanilla where it's made with the best honey you can buy. You could taste the difference. So something like this, stick with the best stuff you can get. This is Florida local honey, so this is local to us. So if you've got bee farms, even like, pairing up with someone like that, you can put, it's advertising for local, made with a local Emma's bee farm, and people come in and they want to support the community, right? So it's always key selling features. So we are going to do 3.5 quarts of cider. Now, when you work with Italian ices or sorbets, you do not need to use water all the time, as long as it's a juice of something. I make pina colada with pineapple juice and coconut water. I don't use water and syrups at all. If I'm making a apple cider sorbet, I just use apple cider and sugar, 2 ingredients. Orange Italian ice, it's simply orange juice, 4 quarts of that, 2 pounds of sugar, 2 ingredients, that's it. So it doesn't have to be a water and a flavoring. Again, we're here to cut out the middleman to make it cost effective for you and to produce the best quality that you can for your customers. And advertising all natural, that's a big deal too. So there are companies, like Weber Flavors, huge, I love them, they're really great. They do make all natural flavoring. So like a kiwi is kind of hard you'd have to put mounds of kiwis, right? They're very blah. So that's when you can do an all natural pairing of kiwi flavoring to go with your real kiwis that are going in the machine to make a strawberry kiwi Italian ice. I've done that. When you work with sorbets or Italian ice, the machine needs something to freeze. Sugar. Sugar is what the machine needs to freeze. You can't just use regular juice, put it in there, and then turn the refrigeration on. It's not going to do anything. It might turn into like a little slight slush consistency, but you still have to have something to put in there for the machine to freeze. You can make a no sugar added or a sugar-free Italian ice using a sugar substitute. But with that said, it has to be something that's equal ratio. allulose is a good thing. So it's 2 pounds of allulose to 2 pounds of sugar. You can't substitute 2 pounds of sugar for a cup of monk fruit because it just won't work. And it's got a wonky aftertaste anyways. We don't want to do that. Steve was a diabetic. He's used the allulose. It doesn't mess with his glycemic index, so that's another key point to it too. You can buy it off of Amazon. You can also buy it in bulk. It's quite expensive, so maybe just make 1 or 2 flavors just so you're not turning anyone away. Okay. And we're going to do 2 pounds of sugar. Get over here. When you work with sugars, Jeff adds his directly into the machine. You can do that too. I like to pre-mix mine. It gets it wet, it absorbs the sugar. You don't have to fully dissolve it, just something to get it wet. It pours into the machine much easier. And then sugar acts like sandpaper. So over time, it can wear down your blades a lot faster than it would just traditional ice cream. Your blades are still going to last for years, but if you are strictly Italian ice and that's all you make, you'll notice your blades will wear a lot faster than a traditional ice cream maker because you work with sugars. Does anybody know the difference between a sorbet and an Italian ice? I know you do. You've watched a lot of videos. It's more predominantly fruit, but so is Italian ice. Yes. Price and how you market it. Exactly. So I can call this an Italian ice all day long. If you've watched our videos, which I know we have up here. My cup is gone.
What?
Anyways, it's how you market it. So you could take this same product here and you can go to put it in a push cart. You could be at a ball field during the summer, a little league game, and call it a pump without the alcohol, obviously. I mean, those being some very calm kids. The parents probably would be happy for that. But you could call it a pumpkin Italian ice. You know, it's a great refreshing little treat on a fall league day. Take the same thing to a catering event, like a wedding, call it a pumpkin sorbet, put it in a fancy glass, and you can charge 3 times the price. Sorbets are more fruit-based, but so are Italian ice. If you look up the ingredients for both, they're the same thing. You know, cherry Italian ice, lemon Italian ice, cherry sorbet, lemon sorbet, it's the same thing, and just how you present it. Okay, so we got our base. Rule 1, always make sure your gate's closed. There's some left in the container, that's okay. There's 2 pounds in there, it's not gonna matter.
Can you do the same recipe without the alcohol?
Yeah, I'm just adding alcohol because I'm an adult and I can.
Would you add water, or would you just?
Just leave it as it is, just omit the rum. This would be like, if you have like a distillery somewhere and they make a good rum, a local company that does, you could pair like during the holidays especially, festivals. We have a customer that has a concessions trailer and they go to concerts and they have a 24 quart and they pre-package in those exact cups right here, just like this. And they do a pina colada and they have a liquor license though, so they can add as much alcohol as they want. And they add alcohol to this, put a lid on it, they shake it up, hand it to the customer, and it's $20 all day long for this. Concerts, people have a good time, they're banking like $6,000 in 2 days, easy. It's nothing but profits. Okay, so we've got all this. Let's figure it out, right? So I know we are going to make Italian ice, or sorbet, excuse me. That looks good, right? Let's start with this. So I put a half a can, so 15 ounces, if you wanted to adjust that. Oh, that smells good. Oh, you guys are gonna love this one. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start my refrigeration, and let's add some alcohol. Whew. I think that's good. When you work with alcohols, there's some that you can add a lot and there's some that you can add a little. The lower the proof, the more you can add. The higher the proof, the less you can add. This is 35% alcohol, so this falls with like the Jack and the Jim, you know, captain over here. So we kind of want to keep it low, and you don't want it to be overpowering when you go to eat your product. You want to eat the sorbet and then have the notes of the rum, right? You don't want to eat straight rum. So let's give it a taste. Let's see if we need more rum. Yeah. I'm gonna call that good. So this is gonna take a good while for it to freeze. So Jeff kind of talked about it earlier. The more alcohol and the sugars that you add, the longer it's going to take to freeze, and that's just science. So plain Jane vanilla can take you like 8-9 minutes, and then once you start introducing sugars like cookies, candies, syrups, alcohols, that's going to increase your batch times. Your very first batch of the day is also always going to take your longest. The machine is warm, it's sat, it hasn't done anything. So if you're going to time your batches, wait until your second batch of the same flavor, and it's going to cut probably 2 to 3 minutes off, and then after your batches after that, we'll start shaving a little bit, and then you're going to hit like a set point. But that's if you're continuously making that same flavor all day long. Rinsing in between batches is not a necessity. If you start with the lightest and go down to the dark flavors, there's no need to rinse. So if you go vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, coffee, there's no need to rinse in between any of that. If you were to mix those up or do extreme to extreme like we are for demos, then of course you want to rinse it in between. Do we have any questions on sorbets, Italian ice?
You said there's a difference between Italian ice and sorbet, but when you hit the button, you hit sorbet. Is it just changing like the revolution?
Good question. So he asked, there's two different settings, sorbet and Italian ice. There are two different settings. It's about a 30 RPM difference. It doesn't make a whole substantial big difference at all, but it comes down to expansion. So do we all know what overrun is? Did we discuss? Awesome. So overrun is what? Air content. So how much overrun do you think this is going to have? You guys don't count. 0. It's, well, not 0. It's going to have about 17%. So dairy equals fat equals expansion. Your product's not going to expand if there's no fat. This is just sugar, water, fruit, and alcohol. If you were to take heavy cream, put it into a bowl, whisk it super fast, you're going to get whipping cream, right? It's got fat. You do that same thing with heavy cream, whip it real slow, now you've got butter. So you're not putting a whole lot of air into it. If you take all of this, sugar, water, and some juice and stick it in here and stir it, whip it, you can do that all day long. It's not going to do anything. It can't expand because there's no fat. Like when you stick a water bottle in the freezer and that expands, that's about as much as expansion as you're going to get out of here. When you work with dairy and non-dairy products, our minimum and maximum quantities in the machines are different. That's because of expansion. So maximum you want to put for dairy is 12 quarts, and maximum for non-dairy, like dairy-free products, or you're working with a super low overrun or Italian ices, you could do as much as 14. Any particular questions?
What is the minimum amount you can put in a CB350?
The minimum amount for a CB350 is 3.5 and is a max of 4. If you're adding inclusions of any kind, I always just say to stick around 3.5 quarts because it gives you enough room in your cylinder to put almost anything you want in there. If you're not adding anything and you're making like a plain vanilla or it's a syrup or an extract you're working with, you can add as much as 4 and you'll be fine.
So what would it do if it was 3 quarts?
So she asked what would it do if it was 3 quarts, and that's for any of our models. If you don't put enough into the machine, what happens is the machine doesn't have enough to spin. So it starts freezing and sticking to the cylinder walls, and it's going to start freezing up solid. You're going to hear a grinding noise, and the machine doesn't have anything to churn. And honestly, it's not going to give you a good product anyways. So you just want to kind of make sure there's enough in there. If you put too much, which that's happened before too, the machine doesn't have any room for it to expand, so it's not going to freeze properly. So it's going to take forever. So if this is 6 quart finish capacity, so if you put 6 quarts in, it's probably going to push 20-30 minutes to freeze a product. I'll move this over and pass around the Tyrannies. How many of you are going to be all ice cream stores? All Italian ice stores? Oh wow. You guys, you guys have prospects to open or? Been deciding. I like to make sure there's something for everybody. I don't like to turn anyone away, especially if it's a big family coming in with 5-6 kids or a baseball team, a softball team, soccer team. There's always going to be someone that has an intolerance or an allergy. Don't have to make a crazy menu for them, but keep something, a dairy-free product. And Italian ices are always dairy-free and they're vegan. So, you know, you can do just a plain lemon Italian ice, just something so he's not left out. Or even just buying popsicles from Cisco or wholesale, just something like you can keep in the back for them. You know, that's not on the menu even. Word of mouth spreads, and just being inclusive and knowing that you helped that one customer, you know, the word of mouth will travel very far. Although Jeff agrees differently, right? Yes.
For people with dairy issues, I know there's like Italian cream ices and different things like that. What would you suggest for people if you wanted to make a product that was dairy-free, other than just Italian ice? I know.
So you're asking like machine-wise, or what product do you suggest?
Like,
Gotcha.
Dairy ones, is there non-dairy ones?
There are. So there is a company called Meadowvale, and they are probably hands down the best. They make a dairy-free mix that comes in a bladder just like you saw today. They've kind of revolutionized the dairy-free world. It is a coconut based, which is very common in the dairy-free world. So whatever you do make, it's all in your packets too, the information in Grant's name. So whatever you do make will have to complement a coconut with it. To you, it might be awful, but the dairy-free world, that's normal. That's what they expect. And this is a very superior product. It is a very smooth feeling. It's not gritty. It's not anything of that sort. That is a refrigerated product just like that though. And there is an alternative called Mommy's Gelato. I really like them a lot too. Their info is also in your packet with Amy's contact. They're shelf stable, come in a bag, and you would mix with water, let it bloom. They have 5 different kinds, like almond based, oat based, goodness, a cup peanut butter I think is one. I really like the oat base because there's no background to it at all. You can make a flavor with that with anything, and there's no notes of coconut or remnants of that sort too. So there's 2 very good alternatives if you wanted to have an ice cream of some sort versus just Italian ice. Say that again?
Can you make cream ice with the mommies?
Yeah, you call it dairy-free cream ice, but cream is dairy, so it kind of is like, but yeah, you can.
With a different name.
Yeah, you can.
Creamy ice.
Yeah, there you go. It's kind of like frozen dessert. All right, let's check the consistency. So Jeff talked about it a little bit. It's called the cutoff check. So when you open and close your gate, and if it cuts off your product and it kind of plops in the pan versus piddles, then that's probably a good extracting point. I'm gonna call this good to go, yeah? All right. I almost turned off the dasher. Who's excited to try this one? I think it's good to do it every now and then for a couple reasons. Just for us doing it, so employees can take it home. You know, everybody likes to take product home. It's easier. And then we don't honestly have a lot of videos showing how you can fill directly from the machine into a container. So as you saw earlier, Jeff was talking, so I didn't want to interrupt him. So the dasher, you can change the speed of it as you're extracting your product. So like I was extracting it and I wanted to hand toss those cinnamon roll pieces, I can slow it way down to make it easier for me. And then you can crank it all the way back up when you get down to the end so it can go faster to push more product out. Someone stole my trash pan, man. Huh? Oh, well, you cleaned it. And then this is a good example too. You could see it here. See all these little air gaps? This is the result of pulling it thicker. So compacting it down will get rid of air gaps, but pulling it at a thinner consistency will not make that result. So let's serve up some Drunken Pumpkin.
Is there ever a time in the making that you change the dasher speed?
No, I've never changed the dasher speed in the process of making any product. The only time I would is if I'm adding an inclusion about halfway through, but you can only do that on the big guys. You can't do that on the smaller ones. But I've still never really had a need to do that.
So the revolutions of the dasher when you're making it is determined by whether it's homemade or sorbet and those are different speeds.
Correct, and that determines how much overrun's going to be put into your product. So the faster it goes, the more air, the slower it goes, the less air, and make it more dense and heavy.
More air, less flavor.
This is pretty.
It looks great.
Maybe if this was in my shop, I'd probably sprinkle a little bit of pumpkin pie spice on top.
Or cinnamon or something.
Yeah.
So in your shop, do you?
I don't have a shop, but if I had one though.
In your kitchen?
I've been to quite a few.
So Jeff, in your shop, how do you serve? You're not scooping from a dipping drawer. How is your ice cream served in your shop?
Beautiful.
We knew.
They go to the chest freezer, take out a 1-gallon tub of the flavor, put it on the counter, and in front of the customer, put it into the cup, close it up, put it down.
And it's a 1-gallon container.
Yeah, the 1 gallon's okay. No air, no ice crystals.
Air is ice cream's worst enemy. Probably could add some walnuts to this.
Ooh.
That probably would have given it, oops, great texture.
Some of the places on the packaging list, the supply list,
Mm-hmm.
they have boxes for ice cream.
Yes.
They have a bag liner inside.
Yes.
Is that for ice crystals?
That is, it's an old-fashioned way. That's the only way that ice cream containers used to come, was box style. A lot of the older generation kind of sticks to it, and they stack very well. It's easier to stack. They can pack more into a small space. And then also because they just don't like to wash or reuse, so they're throwing out and then just put a new liner in it. And some just throw out the whole cardboard. You see that more like New England area. That's pretty common up there. You know what? I didn't even. Hold on. Chef gets first bite. I feel like we should do rum floaters on top, huh? Okay.
You gotta drive home.
We still got time. You good? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's all natural minus rum, but rum's natural, right?